we will move to the Chancellor's Report. Chancellor.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board, my colleagues that typically sit at the dais with me, members in the community, faculty, and staff. It is my pleasure to give you this report today. First of all, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege and welcome Dr. Carla Walter. As the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, Dr. Walter brings expertise to Peralta Community College District that includes her 20 years of successful experience in higher education. Her former community college institutions include Chabot Las Positas Community College District, where she worked at Chabot College, and State Center Community College District, where she worked at Fresno City College, serving as the Vice President of Administrative Services at those respective colleges. Before that, she served as a tenured associate professor in business in Missouri State University, coming to the field after being a chief operating officer in the public finance industry. And as a leader in public finance, she partnered with public agency executives in California to issue and administer over $30 billion in bonds. Both her bachelor's degree in economics and her PhD in dance history and theory were earned at the University of California, Riverside. She earned an MBA from the California State University in San Bernardino. And most importantly, she is a quintessential California Community College transfer success story with an associate's degree in natural sciences from Riverside City College. Dr. Walter is a native of Los Angeles, but she lives with us here in Hayward, California, and I would like for you to join me in welcoming her. Welcome aboard, Carla. The next thing I'd like to say is, I know that I did tell the board members in this update, but I think it bears noticing in the public that we did it. We are off of fire watch. Both Laney College and Merritt College successfully passed the inspections, but for a few things that we have to finish up, they have indicated that we were off of fire watch and will remain off of fire watch as long as we wrap up those a few strings over at Merritt College. And so I just want to say that this is no small feat. We have been on fire watch for more than a year. And it has a lot to do with the failure of the company to provide the necessary service and expertise. And it's been a tremendous expense to the district, but Oakland Fire Department has cleared us. And there are a few things that we will be doing to remain off of fire watch. In doing so, I want to just acknowledge the people that helped make this happen as we did what we call holding the hands as they pull them over the finish line. First of all, the college presidents, Dr. Tammeil Gilkerson and Dr. David Johnson, they were relentless. They called for the appropriate levels of service, and they worked tirelessly with DGS. Second, I want to say that Vice Chancellor Sata was the right person to be in the room at the right time all along in this saga, because he was key in managing the relationships and hand-holding to pull the organization over the finish line and help us get off of fire watch. His diligence in getting the company to complete the work is invaluable. And then finally, I want to say that GC Council Warden, with the addition of him, that changed the dynamics in the room. He was instrumental in redefining the needs from the company that we worked with, and he insisted on getting the right people in the room and sufficiently escalated it to where the problem could be solved up the organization's ladder in order to get them to have the kinds of people and the level of expertise that we needed to have. So congratulations to Laney College, congratulations to Merritt College, and thank you with much gratitude to Dilal Warden, to Lee Sata, to Tammeil Gilkerson and David Johnson. Yay. If we weren't on Zoom and mute, everybody could do the happy dance at this point. The next thing I'd like to do is share a little bit of information about the COVID-19 response. We have been implementing a COVID-19 response, and what that did immediately was have us develop our pandemic response plan that is that is a draft that will be an addendum that we add to the emergency operations plan because our emergency operations plan has a lot to do with earthquakes or responding to things like earthquakes and fires and blackouts and those types of things, but had not spoken specifically to pandemics. And I think colleges across the state were having that experience. This has been a tremendously busy week to 9 work days. In responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have constantly had to assess the situation and have it informed by really rapidly changing conditions. We've had to put forth a plan where we consistently modify and as we execute and implement the best decisions going forward and evaluate the impact of those decisions. In terms of the organization of that, we're drawing on our collective knowledge of the National Incident Management System called NIMS and the Incident Command Structure, which is ICS, in order to best implement emergency operations plan and to situate ourselves for possible federal and state recovery funds, including FEMA and the California Community College Chancellor's Office. So we're really hoping to see some things like state block grants and those types of things. We're also hoping that the state of California comes through with that grant and to recover some resources that have been required for us to be able to respond. The emergency operations team, and Brenda, could you show, are you doing a screen share? Could you screen share the emergency operations team, please? That's the collaboration timeline.
Yes, it is.
I would like to screen show the emergency operations team. The emergency operations team has been in daily operations meetings via Zoom. We're monitoring the external guidelines and we're continuing to develop and implement the protocols to support institutional continuity. You'll note that the titles on this ops org is a little different than the ICS titles, and that's because we're trying to make it specific to the pandemic as opposed to just general emergency. We're in the process of doing that correlation and crosswalk so that we can make sure that we are able to recover resources if they are made available. The colleges and the district are adjusting to a very new normal by shifting, for an example, to working remotely. We've continued to perform the work of the district in a manner that places the health and safety of our community first while complying with the evolving orders. We'll be transforming all of the sites into remote learning and service sites to the extent that that's required, as long as the shelter in place is in order is in place. And we have been given just guidelines from the State Chancellor's Office and others that we could probably expect that to be in place and not be back at our sites before the end of June, if not later. We realize that faculty and staff and students may need to have access to technology if the colleges are going to continue to exist. So I've asked the tech team to purchase 200 laptops for faculty and staff and 9,000 Chromebooks for students. If we're going to keep any enrollment and continue to exist, we have to connect the students to the technology. This is about a $3.5 million expenditure to cover the technology and the software and accidental damage, as well as consistent with the approved bond program and the language describing the appropriate use of the funds for student success. And we did double check that with bond counsel as well. As we wanted to be able to be responsive, we have been acutely aware of the quote unquote digital divide that may keep students from being able to access technology and could make a difference as to whether they could continue their education or not. We also just finalized the procurement of a deep cleaning proposal. I told Vice Chancellor Sata to hurry up and make that happen because I turned into a pumpkin at midnight on the emergency resolution. And so this is the first and only procurement that we've made under the emergency resolution. And it serves, this statement that I'm making to you serves as notification to all of the boards in a record 6 hours, that well within the required 24 to 48 hours that we have pursued that procurement. The emergency team has been meeting every day for several hours per day. This enabled the team to come together to identify and follow up on items that need to have the details worked out, and understand that a lot of the details we are also using and getting from the State Chancellor's Office, the guidelines. So as we address the issues of, for an example, let's say excused withdrawals, we are getting information from the Chancellor's Office. Many of us are asking those questions on our listservs. The Chancellor's Office is being responsive in answering those, and then issuing some statewide guidelines around things like grades, pass, no pass, the early withdrawals, our students getting the policies and the rules and regulations around students getting refunds, those types of things. But we also have, though it's not an exhaustive list, we also have been working on a number of things, developing the remote working protocols and remote instructional approaches and resources for faculty. And some of those dense communications that you hear the people making reference to are some of those things where we put out, as we get information, we put out information to let faculty know about different types of resources. They're intended to be references that they can go back and look to different types of things that might be supportive in terms of them being able to convert to remote services and instruction. We also provide those same types of resources to students as we get that information, and are doing the same in terms of student services. We have, there are certain state and federal submission requirements, so we're keeping up with that in the emergency management team. We're monitoring the state and federal and local guidelines, monitoring the health organizations and CDC and World Health, as well as the Alameda County Public Health Department. We've developed perspectives around travel protocols, mail deliveries, access to campus, the essential workers list, development of frequently asked questions, because there are lots of questions that people have. Looking at issues around student grades, enrollments, records needs, withdrawals, registration, and alternative, as well as will students have access to certain services, like, for an example, health services, and made arrangements for alternative access to health services, alternative sites. Strengthening the technology and the technology support infrastructure in the district has been one of the areas that we've had to focus on in order to support faculty and staff and administration being able to do their work remotely. Regular communications and updates out to the college community are something that we have been trying to make sure that we are maintaining and issuing regular updates, and sometimes updates more than once a day. Developing and supporting faculty in particular professional development opportunities and training, exploring different types of technology and software that would support the teaching of labs and activity classes and career technical courses that typically would not lend themselves to remote teaching. We've had to take care of some regular processes as well. For an example, the student elections are up, and so we've had to work through how we implement the student elections, but be flexible on some of the administrative processes, because the students may not be able to do things like get the number of signatures on a petition as we have looked at this, as we are all sheltered in place. We are in the process of developing, of planning a town hall. There's a small group of the team that is working on that, and we expect to be able to make an announcement to invite people to a virtual town hall so that students can get a lot of their questions answered. We're hoping to be able to do that on Wednesday. We also are considering issues around international students, the decisions around refunds of international students, or giving them credit so that while they may not be able to be here this semester, they can return and they've already paid their fees. We're looking at some of the financial implications and working with the state, and informing some of the advocacy at the state on just hold harmless and making sure that the community colleges, and particularly our district, doesn't lose funding because of a change in enrollment or because of the way in which the funding formula gets impacted by this, by the changes that have happened as a result of this pandemic. And we are also looking at issues around making sure every employee continues to get paid, but it's not just the payroll, it's disbursements that include financial aid and vendor payments as well. We've put out communication after communication after communication that has said All employees will get paid, will continue to get paid. That pay will not be adversely affected by the cancellation of classes. We have repeatedly said that, and we've gotten some questions. Mainly, it says all employees, but will it include the part-time? All employees. Will it include the student workers? All employees. Will it include the full-time? All employees. Will it include the classified? All employees. Will it include the administration? All employees will receive their pay, their payroll, and will not have it interrupted as a result of this emergency shelter in place. And we've even had to have some conversations around, how do we honor the accomplishments of the students? For an example, commencement comes up, and if we are not able to have gatherings, will we have a virtual commitment? We will work with the students and try to get some ideas around that, work with the faculty and staff. The board and the faculty and staff can be very proud and secure that the team that they have at the table is working on a lot of different issues. And I appreciate what may have remained hidden talents, the fact that this current situation brings out those talents. And I'm really seeing the exhibiting of leadership and intuition and critical thinking and fierce advocacy and protection of actually the faculty, staff, and students in the district. The emergency discussions are quickly moving from the priority of concern and health and safety and possible exposure as well, where we collaborated with the health department and determined the risk. And that basically is how we ended up activating the emergency process when we got some information that there may have been an exposure. It turned out that it was not. It was, second and third hand, and Alameda County Public Health Department, deemed it low risk some time ago. But that activation allowed us to kick into gear. And so what does this mean? Our institutions will change. We have learned that in 2 short weeks, or less than 2 short weeks, not 3 days, but in less than 2 short weeks, we have been able to really get a lot of work done to transform 4 colleges and a district operation into a remote environment that is heavily dependent on the technological infrastructure. And having technology not having necessarily been the strong suit in Peralta Community College District, I want to acknowledge the leadership of Monsieur Mahirali, who has really stepped up to the plate. As a result, he's put in places the processes to support remote work, the help desk infrastructure, the laptop orders that were negotiated to get new laptops in, get them tagged, and be able for us to create a system to get them out to the faculty, making sure that people understood how to use Google Voice so that people could access and do their work at home and not necessarily have to use their own personal data, access to the W drive so that we can get work done. So for an example, payroll that normally would have to come in to run check runs, disseminating the phone instructions, disseminating how to access things like the EPAF system from home, disseminating, setting up the system to disseminate the laptops, increasing VPN access and the help desk support, negotiating the contract to get 9,000 Chromebooks and 200 laptops at a time when it's not available, because every institution across the state is ordering laptops and Chromebooks, but he secured that for us, and reconfiguring PeopleSoft so that we can take care of the issues and address some of the things around financial aid, and even designing the protocol so that we can have the appropriate use of FAS and listserv. I want to acknowledge Mr. Mahiri for doing that. The second thing is I want to acknowledge another star. Now, so I run the risk of, as all of the members need acknowledgement, I want to just highlight a few of the things that really have shown up differently as we have done this work. I want to acknowledge the work of Dr. Siri Brown. She has literally moved mountains. She's worked with faculty to convert to remote instruction and provide the support and resources, to look to creation of the professional developments, to untangle the policies and regulations around admissions and records and grades and withdrawals and financial aid and fees and dual enrollment and academic schedules and transfer and articulation constrictions. Some of the people brought up some things around transfer of labs, and she's collaborated with UC system. She's collaborated with OUSD to work between the segments in order to make sure that they will be lenient and flexible so that our students won't suffer because of this situation. She's worked and managed and manipulated through the ACCJC standards with regard to distance ed, worked on the statewide addendum in order to situate us so that we can do this remote service and have continuity of instruction and services. And she's also worked with faculty and staff in addressing some issues around the digital divide, which is how we came to pursue getting laptops and Chromebooks for the faculty. She's working with the presidents and the vice presidents and some directors and faculty and staff. And so I want to really thank her for doing that, and particularly give kudos to the academic senates and the classified senates who have been instrumental in working with her. And I'll make reference to it in a little bit later, but a lot of the work that she's done has been in collaboration, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The next thing is I want to acknowledge Mark Johnson and the communication that he has done. He has done a tremendous job of getting the website up, but also he's in the process of revamping the website so that it provides more of a site that gives us a resource. And the website is called a Safe Peralta site. And that will be for this pandemic, but also for other things where people can know there'll be places for students to go in to look at student resources, faculty and staff to look at faculty and staff resources, connections to appropriate links, etc. So I want to acknowledge that. And he's doing the work to put the town hall together. And he's been at the center of virtually every aspect of this response plan, because there's also at every aspect of the response plan a need for clear and immediate communication. So anything from the updates to the frequently asked questions to the different types of resources and decisions that have had to be considered, he's been at the center of that, issuing the things like safety guidelines and the travel information and the essential staff information and the alert systems district-wide, dissemination of the surveys, because we're surveying the students in terms of their technology needs. It might seem easy, but especially in times of emergency, clear is not clear. A lot of times, no matter how clear we think we're being, as you've heard from the different speakers, it can be not clear enough, or you can give too much information, or you can give not enough information, or the information can be not deep enough or be too succinct that you couldn't get anything from it. So he is actually managing that, walking that tightrope, and from my perspective is doing an excellent job with it. And then finally, I'd like to call out VC Whitaker. She has been instrumental in helping put together the working protocols, remote working protocols, and providing faculty and staff with the guidance, identifying, helping us identify the essential personnel protocols. And I particularly want to give a shout out to SEIU for their assistance and support in articulating their members' needs and working with us to make sure we have ongoing conversations with SEIU and Local 39. They're extremely helpful in working with us to address employee wages and benefits during closure, and high-risk employees and those caring for elderly, sick leave, vacation leave, those types of things. And then also determining the essential staff and functions. And I want to acknowledge Local 39 for their support in addressing the questions around hazmat and continuity of pay. We do not know how long this new normal will be. I would be surprised if we are back by the end of June, if not longer. But we're riding this bicycle while we build it, and we now have a draft pandemic response plan as a result of having a pandemic in this world. And we will continue to work and refine it and have it informed by lots of different people as we polish it up and carry out our roles to support the colleges and district in meeting its mission. And then I want to make a particular comment about the collaboration, because I've heard a lot of information about the collaboration. Before we activated the emergency ops team on 6th, a lot of the work that we were doing was just giving the update and collaborating with the health. So the first thing you see in terms of the collaboration timeline that I put before you is just a lot of information about the health collaboration, where we work with the health departments, and then we worked with the different health leads in our district work with the mental health counselors and, that type of stuff. But if you go to the next week is when it really kind of got really, what should I want to say, very active. And Brenda, are you controlling this screen share?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'd like to go to the next, slide over. Do you have it? Yeah, thank you. So if you can go to the next slide over. Okay, no, yes. So the next week you'll see this is where there was a lot of collaboration where we were trying to make some decisions once we were realizing that we would move to remote service. On about the 10th, we got an email indicating that there was possible student exposure, and we within minutes were able to work with the public health department and get some information. We spoke with PFT, and actually PFT made the recommendation that we cancel the next 3 days of classes and give faculty a chance to get professional development to get ready. We thought it was a good recommendation, and then also recommended that we move spring break from the previous, where it was formerly scheduled, to the following week. And that was a negotiated agreement to do that. And then that we would resume classes afterwards. We soon got into that and could really see that faculty were not going to be ready to be up and running. More than half of them had not even opened their Canvas shells at all. So we wanted to give faculty more time. We felt like it was important to not have multiple academic calendars. Some classes were in session, some classes weren't in session. There are many who may second guess that decision, but we thought that was important to be clear for the students. And you'll see that we started working with the different faculty and staff. If you go to the March, the next one for me, please, Brenda. And that's where you see the classes are canceled. The key people have been the DE faculty, the DE leads, the distance ed leads have been very instrumental in working with us. We worked with, there were some faculty that were at the different campuses that agreed to support the training. So there were some 14 faculty that were doing that work with us as well. We work with staff across as well because we had to figure things out around financial aid and disbursement. So you'll see that what we tried to do is identify when we work with different folks. Sometimes we were working with union and union representatives. Sometimes we were working with faculties in the area, in their particular areas. For an example, child development, whether you're going to keep the child development centers open, et cetera. We sponsored a LAPSTER demonstration. More than 50 science discipline faculty were involved in that, gave us some real good information, real good input, and really enriched our conversations and decisions around that as well. You can go to the next one, please. And then you can see then that we're getting ready to go into this week. We've had just a couple of days this week because today is Tuesday, but that's also some work that we've done that is part of the collaboration. And so I expect there will be a lot more collaboration. What you can see is that as a result of the collaboration that we have done, we've worked with more than 100 faculty. We've worked with more than 100 faculty and staff, in order to get a lot of these issues addressed. And there will be things that we will be counting on people to support us and help us realize or remember to address. And we want to try to get it right because our goal and our focus is to make sure that that students have access to education and that we preserve employment so that our faculty and staff can remain meaningfully employed. Our failure to adjust to this situation, those decisions will be made for us if we're not able to adjust. And so I have confidence that we will be able to. I'll wrap up by saying just a little comment on the ACCJC. So we got a little bit interrupted with all of this, but we are back on track to be able to speak with Dr. Stephanie Joker in terms of the financial sustainability part of ACCJC. In the meantime, the colleges are still doing their work, completing their ICERs and preparing for their visits. And with that, I would like to ask the presidents to make some comments about the colleges. And please pardon me for that long Chancellor's report, but I thought it was important for you to have the update and the information about the COVID-19 response, and especially in light of all of the comments that have been made in public session today. Thank you, presidents.
Thank you, Chancellor Stroud and Board of Trustees. This is Debbie Budd with Berkeley City College. And I would like to start this evening by really thanking Chancellor Stanback Stroud for her incredible leadership. She has been stellar in helping lead the district, and I want to thank the board for their support of that, because these are really unprecedented times. Many of you, can you all still hear me fine?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Many of you may have seen Governor Gavin Newsom's address earlier this evening, but I just wanted to note that he gave a shout out to the community college system, not only for stepping up and helping, donate respirators that are much needed, but really noting that, as we know, 60 to 70% of our first responders are trained in the community college. And I thought that was so important that he noted that, and we know right at the front lines. As Chancellor noted, we have been working tirelessly these past 2 weeks to ensure that we are ready when classes resume on April 6th, that our students have a comprehensive and caring learning environment. And that has happened from everyone stepping up, from our faculty doing trainings with their fellow faculty members, to our classified staff coming in and getting computers ready. We've already begun to hand out we have 150 computers available for faculty and staff to ensure they could work at home. And we have more than double that for our students, and look forward to the fantastic order, thanks to the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of IT, for the Chromebooks that are on their way. Just a couple of highlights of what's happened in addition to all of our COVID-19 preparation for remote learning. We received a Bay Area Math Collaborative, which includes all 4 of the Peralta campuses, a grant to transform undergraduate STEM education, with $200,000 being awarded. So I really want to congratulate the math faculty and administrative team that's helped to work with that. I wanted to recognize Jimmy Crittison, instructor of African American Studies, he teaches at both Laney College and Berkeley City College, and he led 6 of our Berkeley scholars to the A2 Men Conference in early March 4th through 6th. And they were just thrilled to be able to continue the Umoja Men's Circles to discuss issues facing African-American male achievement in education. And they are really, the participants stated it was great, and they know it'll help support their student holistic growth and educational goals. Chancellor Stroud also mentioned we've been working to ensure the elections, and I want to thank John Nguyen, who is our Director of Campus and Student Life, and our student leaders, for everything they've done in ramping up the student elections so that could be done remotely. And we are confident with the participation already that we will have a full board of officers at Berkeley City College next term. Just thank you all for your work and support. And we are really confident that we're going to ensure serving our students in this very difficult time. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and members of the Peralta community. I'm pleased to give a report on behalf of Laney College. So innovation, perseverance, and that good old Laney love were on display as colleagues across the campus. And I want to just highlight the fact that not only faculty, but our classified professionals and managers were working tirelessly together to move mountains, to begin to think about how and implement how we will do remote delivery of student services and instruction that really meets the needs of our students. And there was a lot of collaboration and collegiality on display as folks rallied together to help provide that coaching and support. And so I'm really grateful for that. And you can actually see that on display in the board report that I attached, as well as some pictures of folks together throughout campus helping support each other. I'm also pleased that we pulled together very quickly 11 remote teaching support coaches who are assigned to disciplines to support faculty as they're moving to remote instruction, and really helping with tools, answering questions, providing just that emotional and just sort of technical support that folks need. We're excited to announce again that Laney College's journalism program was selected by EdSource as the only community college partner in the state for its journalism core program. 5 outstanding students, including Jacqueline Oplach, Manel Raj, Isis Piccolo, Casper Digamani, and Ryan Barba, were selected to contribute to reporting and pitching their own stories for the publications. The students are mentored by a Pulitzer-nominated mentor and are being paid for their work. I really want to give special thanks to Department Chair Eleni Gastis for her efforts in making these partnerships happen, and congratulations to our outstanding students. We did this amazing, challenged our online community to take on the Laney Love Challenge in February and to share what they're doing in their community to spread Laney love. Our winner was a survivor of domestic abuse and is really beginning to start a support group for other survivors in the Bay Area so that they feel empowered and feel that they can be supported. Danielle Mackey is a paralegal studies major and just said that giving love to herself and giving love to other people is really important. So I really want to thank Lorena Baldazzo, our new PIO, for her creativity, and Mr. Fab, Oakland legend, and Dope Era for their support of this effort. And finally, I just want to give congratulations to Susan Bradley, who just finished a National Academy of Television Arts and Scientists sponsored mentorship program, which landed her a paid video assignment for the Center for Elder Independence located in downtown Oakland. Susan is creating training videos for adults seeking to help their elderly parents. And the Oakland Ballet also asked her to shoot their rehearsal and performance at Oakland's Paramount Theater, and the Asian Native American Pacific Islander Serving Institution has hired her to shoot a Get Out the Vote video. Susan credits the instruction from Mark Moya's photography classes and the mentorship from Steve Schlitsky, the NASTIS chapter president, for mentoring her with such care. She really does say that she stands on the shoulders of giants, and we are proud of Susan and Professors Moya and Schlitsky for their commitment to our students and our community. Thank you.
All right, greetings from, I usually say greetings from the island, but I think it's more appropriate this time to say greetings from San Jose, where I'm stranded at the moment at home. I just want to give a tremendous shout out to all the staff, the faculty, the administrators, and the students at COA, who I'm so grateful for over the last 10 days or 2 weeks, have just stepped up and shown up in so many ways to support each other and support our college and support our students in these really trying times. We're in uncharted waters, and people are really linking together to serve our community and our students, and it's just remarkable. I want to give a shout out to 2 faculty members, Jennifer Fowler and Deanna Brajrami, who are DE faculty co-chairs. They have stepped up in the last couple of weeks to do a tremendous amount of trainings for our faculty and even our staff to give them the tools for they can feel they can do remote learning effectively come April 6th, and we have more to do, but they have stepped up every day with remarkable office hours in Zoom. It seems like every minute of the day there's a training. So my heart goes out to them for all the good work they're doing. And then also just a shout out to a new program we developed at COA right before the current pandemic broke out. We got approval from the California Department of Public Health to start a certified nursing assistant program at COA, so a CNA program. It'll be a non-credit pathway. A faculty member, Genevieve Dace, and our Dean of Workforce, Eva Jennings, did a remarkable job in putting that program together and getting it through the Department of Public Health. And we are anticipating our first cohort in fall of 2020, and that'll be a non-credit pathway, so no fees to students getting their certificate in CNA. And so that is all from Alameda at the moment. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I understand that going last, I'm standing between you all retiring to your respective abodes, so I'll be brief. I just want to echo again the hard work that the Chancellor and her team have done to lead us through this unprecedented crisis. Her leadership and direction been pivotal. I want to also acknowledge and recognize our staff, faculty, and administrative team here at Merritt College. But one person in particular, Monica Ambalal, who serves as our distance ed coordinator. She immediately stepped up to stand in the gap and provide some leadership and direction for faculty, even while completing her PhD at the same time. So I want to recognize that. Really quickly, I also want to say, the Chancellor mentioned the good news at Merritt College about coming off of Firewatch. To that, I want to add the name of our Director of Business Operations, Vicki Menzies, who always kept us apprised of the progress at every step, and her flexibility and long hours, I think, underscore her commitment to this college. So I want to make sure that I got that in. Finally, some news about a student. I want to share with you that Miss Jocelyn Cohen, a Merritt student, has been selected as the 2020 New Century Workforce Pathway Scholar. Now, the New Century Workforce Pathway Scholarship Program is sponsored by Coca-Cola in partnership with Phi Theta Kappa, and more than 2,000 applications were received and evaluated on academic achievement, leadership, service, and other criteria related to significant endeavors, and Jocelyn received the highest score in the state of California. So we're very proud of her and her accomplishment. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, college presidents, for those reports.